The American Lung Association's annual State of the Air report has been released, and we are taking a closer look at what it's revealing about the air that we breathe here in Jacksonville. So the good news is Jacksonville ranked among the cleanest in the nation for ozone pollution or smog. Different story, though, when it comes to particle pollution. The American Lung Association measures that two ways, basically, and Jacksonville ranked 84th and 124th worst in the nation. Kevin Stewart, Director of Environmental Health at the American Lung Association, is joining us via Zoom this morning to explain what exactly all of this means for us. Good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Yes, my pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
So we certainly never want to be on any kind of worst list. Would you explain what exactly is particle pollution?
Well, particle pollution is a complex mixture of different elements that go into the air. We sometimes call it soot pollution because it comes from burning things. It can be fossil fuels. It can be burning leaves or trash. Anything that creates those tiny microscopic particles that goes into the air. It can also be things like salts or metal fumes or road dust. Those can sometimes be breathed into the deepest parts of the lungs, and when they cross even into the bloodstream, they can cause real problems for people who have cardiovascular disease, causing heart attacks, strokes, and even death.
And is that typically then for people who are normally, healthy, or is that for those who are at higher risk that would be then more, susceptible to these particle pollutions?
Right. At high levels, it certainly can affect everybody, even healthy people. But we do know that there are significant subgroups of the population that altogether amount to about half of us. I mean, children, senior citizens, people with chronic lung and heart disease, people living in poverty, and people of color. Those who are pregnant and their unborn children, those people are also at risk as well.
So is there anything that we can do then to protect ourselves or at least lower our risks?
Well, certainly we do know that individuals can lower their risk by paying attention to what the air quality is going to be. One thing is to pay attention, go to airnow.gov. You can get an idea of what the forecast is going to be for your day. Don't go out and exercise in air pollution levels that might be hazardous for you or your family, your loved ones. But also try to avoid causing air pollution. We know that there certainly are industrial sources that need to be controlled. But I just saw the traffic report earlier today on the broadcast, and all those cars make air pollution as well. So they need to be properly maintained. People should try to focus on mass transit, walking, biking, other kinds of means of transportation, telework. Those are also steps that people can take apart from other things like reducing the electricity use, making sure that you're covering all the possible bases here.
So was there anything in the report that really surprised you?
Not really. I think, Jacksonville does have a very good report, third year in a row, among the cleanest in the country for ozone smog. The news about fine particle pollution for the daily measure is that the area is kind of always a bridesmaid and never a bride, because there always seems to be one day of unhealthy air in every 3-year period. And so you get a B and not an A. And this is like the 8th time over the past 20 years of reports where we see that the fine particle pollution level doesn't quite get to the A level.
And, we had a very, very bad fire in downtown Jacksonville several months ago, and the air quality at that time, given all of that just heavy, thick smoke that was in the air, certainly gave us, concern, particularly in and around the downtown area, and as the wind came in and blew it east. So that would certainly rank as definitely a B, if not lower, as you were talking about. We can all do better, and we all need to learn from what you've told us and explained to us, certainly here this morning, about improving the air that we breathe, whether you're here in Jacksonville or anywhere in the area. We thank you for your time this morning.
My pleasure. Thanks very much for your coverage.